5 minutes. 5 minutes. Four minutes. Three minutes. 3 minutes.
And we are 2 minutes away from our third Boys Open of the day. We have had two exhilarating Boys Open races just moments ago. We had Xander Rittenauer with a comeback victory, 15:52 for the individual win. Team-wise, it was Irish Track Club dominating with only 71 points. Phenomenal section in Open 2 as we get ready for Open 3.
And 71 points only tells part of the story. They won by 56 over Mush. That's a pretty significant margin. It'll be interesting to see in this third race how it compares to the first two, because we did have some really interesting developments in those first two. 62 degrees right now in Terre Haute, and feels like 57 because of the wind, which is really gusting in certain points on the course. 9 mile per hour steady, but gusting to 16 miles per hour. And by the way, for those uninitiated, this is 12 degrees higher than the average for Terre Haute this time of year. So despite the wind, pretty darn good conditions, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, this is late or I guess mid-November, you could say, is in the Midwest is certainly an opportunity for some crazy weather. I was telling Tom earlier on the broadcast that when I raced this just a few years ago, there was some terrible sleet and rain and freezing weather. So 50s and cloudy is not too bad for late November Indiana. But we are set to begin our open third section.
And a shout out to the organizers, because everything has been right on time. Not an easy thing to do by any stretch of imagination. We're dealing with this many athletes in this many races. So a shout out to the NXR Midwest folks that organize these races. Really well done.
Absolutely. Everything is on point, looking good and ready to go. As we get ready to go down on our section 3. We have one more section after this, followed by our final 2 races of the afternoon. Just the open number 4, then the championship races, and that will be it for NXR Midwest. As we see our array of athletes coming down the pipeline there.
There's a nice wide expanse at the start here, which is just so fantastic. So there's no real need to kind of have to run to clear yourself away from the rank and file. You can take your time moving your way through. This course is wide in so many areas. It's unnecessary to really go out too fast.
Yeah, and our athletes know that. We've seen that. We've seen pretty even paces for the most part today. Of course, these past 2 races have been a little bit of exceptions, but for the most part, we've seen the natural first mile being 20 seconds faster, but no exceptional fast miles from a lot of our leaders. And we've seen some close packs here early, especially in mile number 1. Let's see what we have here.
Austin Bow, unattached. Oh, no. Is that an 8 or a 0? I can't tell. It looks like an 8.
22:58.
Thank you. It's Austin Bow from Indiana. The gentleman's a junior.
Individualizing himself early. This is probably the earliest we've seen somebody go as they make their way down. You can see on our elevation tracker on the bottom side of your screen, this is the very beginning of the steepest decline of the course. And you can see even before the decline even started, he's making his way to the top of the pack.
That's an interesting thing to have the biggest downhill right at the start. It's like, strategically, what do you do about that? And if I were a runner, I would be very relaxed going down that downhill and not pushing it too hard, not backing off too much, but just kind of taking it as it comes, so to speak, because it's so early in the race. That's Landon Willis, also of Indiana, now in the front in the all black.
Yeah, I'm with you. And beyond strategically, it just makes this course feel pretty exhausting. You feel like after this decline, the rest of the way is an incline. And of course, there is some declines along the way, but it just makes this, a pretty difficult race to run, especially if you're not used to that.
And you're at the lowest point of the course right now. So again, you want to just not shoot your, bullets out of here too early and be left with dry powder, if I can use that sort of analogy. You want to have plenty of tools in that toolbox to handle any sort of vicissitudes that may come in later in the race. That's still Landon Willis in front, marginally. And 13:65, well, that is Nico Cimino from the Nook in Illinois.
Coming up on our first mile, you can see on our athletic course tracker, that first mile approaching on the left side of your screen. We'll have live stats, of course, through mile number 1 and mile number 2. We can identify all of our athletes here in this front pack.
4:51 has been the fastest mile we've seen in these open races. Hard to really tell. I don't think they're running as fast as that, but it is a bit hard to tell. This is a nice drone shot just showing the spread of the field. Beautiful day in Terre Haute. The leaves are all off the trees, and We know we're into late fall, getting ready for winter.
Championship race for the girls.
Again, no real advantage to taking the lead this early. I'd rather tuck in, let somebody else do the work. Plenty of time to
got a lot of company right there at his heels. Coming up on the mile split.
Throughout the day, we've seen some surges after the mile marker specifically, so let's watch out for that as we approach our first one here.
Cimino goes in 4:54.8, which is a little bit slower than our other races. Aaron Gall, Kanan Summers, Ryan Breidenthal, Grant Windemeyer, Ricky Sabilla, Bradley Deering, Adam Dick. And again, Ben, not as many sub-5s in this particular race number 3, only 12 under sub-5. So it's definitely a slower scenario that we're experiencing here.
Yeah, athletes taking their time, although it is pretty strung out, so possibly just a slower
heat.
In slower heat. Yeah, absolutely. So Nathan Hill still in the lead and he's looking confident there.
Well, Cimino looks pretty confident behind him in second, too.
Yeah, it's kind of a menacing look on Cimino's face, looking to chase him down maybe at some point.
I wonder if he's related to the director, Michael Cimino, who did The Deer Hunter. And he is doing the hunting here for sure.
Team-wise, it's Motrin, Illinois, 82 points. Currently has the unofficial lead. The Nook, Illinois, in second with 97. Highland in third.
It's an Illinois sweep through 5 places at the moment. And remember, this is a 5-state region: Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, Michigan, and Missouri.
Illinois has sent a team to NXN every year of NXR Midwest since its inception in 2004.
So Cimino,
it has
he's your leader.
34 bids.
And that's for the boys' side of the equation, of course.
Yep.
Nico Cimino, he's your leader. Manuka, Illinois. And then right behind is Aaron Gal of Michigan. That's your top 2.
One thing that we're likely to see happen this year is that Michigan has never qualified a team for Nike on the boys' side, in part because of the state rules discouraged participation. And this year, Michigan on the girls' side has a great team in Romeo. But this one, Ho and Cimino, and here's our elevation. This is going to be a steady incline, and these two are really far ahead of everybody else.
I believe that's Cimino and Gal, I believe.
Yes, you're right. Yep.
And, yeah, those two ran basically together at the mile marker, and they're still together now, separating themselves from the rest. Third and fourth also run together. That's Summers and Bridenthal.
Remember, it's actually Ho. Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm so sorry. Cimino.
Yeah,
and Gal. Yes, Cimino and Gal. Absolutely right.
Only reason I know is because West Glenbard is the club I ran for a few years ago. Home of Glenbard West, Illinois.
So another little elevation here. This race dramatically different from the other open races that we've seen because there is a major spread here that seems to be holding. But this is your elevation. Gosh, this elevation tracker is so good. It really tells a story in this race. So now they're going wide here. Cimino on the right, Gal on the left. Neither of them look all that comfortable, but looks can be deceiving.
Coming up toward 3,000 meters, we'll give you the 2-mile split.
38:29.
At cross-country town, USA. Over 4,000.
That is, Eric Kendrick has moved up a lot in this last mile. Eric Kendrick was 13th at mile 1, and now he's in 3rd. That's a nice bit of running by him.
So as they approach this 2-mile marker, let's watch out for some surges. We've seen in almost every single race. Once that 2-mile marker is hit, we've seen surges from all over the pack.
Yeah, and a very astute point that you bring up, because we have definitely seen the point where 2 miles hits and a lot of movement has taken place. But the issue here is that there is such a disparity. This one may stay according to form the way we've seen it right now. I mean, look at it. Everybody is way, way back in single file, even behind these top 2. We should be seeing 10 minutes or so, 10:10 for Cimino, so much slower than the other races. Gall there in 10:11. They're both juniors.
Cimino from Illinois, Gal from Michigan. These 2 runners, like you said, might be all alone at this stage. 3rd place, that's Lincoln Cruz, is quite a bit behind.
Yeah, it's 12 seconds back. There's a pretty good group of runners in that kind of cohort. Dickin, Pattison, not too far behind Ryan Breidenthal, Cooper Knoblaw, Ricky Sabilla, Nolan Ferris, Boston Beyer. They're all not too far away from one another. And then we'll watch these team standings. And again, a dynamic leaderboard, always to know. 78 runners have passed the 2-mile mark at this point.
So Cimino still looking strong, as these 2 really have changed an inch throughout the entire race. It's been Gal who sat behind Cimino by 2 feet the entire way, and both of them have looked pretty strong.
So Motrin of Illinois doing a pretty good job of packing their folks. Maxwell Carter in 14th. Philip Canopy in 17th is their number 2 runner. Abe Martin in 31st, their number 3 runner. And then Keaston Beyer in 48th, their number 4 runner. And Noah Harris, 57, their number 5 runner. So doing a pretty good job now. Of course, these will be adjusted when you drop off all the unattached and so on. And at this moment, they have a 39-point gap on the Nook, with Illinois going 1, 2, and 3.
If our stats tell us correctly, also Vincent Pattison, who's up 25 spots into 5th place off that 2nd mile. A big surge from him. And look at this also, Cimino trying to extend his lead, taking a little bit of a look back. And Aaron Gal just trying to hold on.
So that last downhill, Ben, we've seen some, especially in that last race where we had an utter collapse on that last downhill. That's what I'm looking for here. These 2 are close enough where either one of them could take it. And I think that downhill before that long straightaway may determine this thing. Maybe we could get the course tracker, the elevation tracker up there again so people can see exactly what we're talking about here. And on cue, our guys are so good. So you can see this downhill is coming up next. And let's see what happens as we approach that and who takes that best. Because once you get down that downhill, then you're going to make that turn and you're going to be able to see the finish. And who's going to take this downhill well? Here it comes.
Kamiko now pulling away just a little bit from Paducah, Illinois. As mentioned, top 40 last weekend in Peoria. Gall with some credentials of his own. He runs in the big school division.
Here they go down the ridge of the downhill. Cimino leads. And just kind of filing into place is Aaron Gal, not trying to make a move yet.
No, exactly. And nice camera work and nice directing here, because now you get a chance to see. I thought somebody, well, Camino has opened it up just a little bit on Gall, just a hair.
Now, the second element of this finish is that final stretch. A lot of athletes take a look at it and say, hey, once I hit the beginning of that final stretch, I'm going to kick. So Gall's got to be careful, or both of them for that matter, have got to be careful of not going too early. This is a long final stretch.
And it's an optical illusion. So to your point, you got to be patient on that stretch because it looks like that finish line is closer than it really is. And on these long straightaways, that's what can happen.
Another downhill here, and here's Gall. He kind of looking to the side here. Not a good sign for Aaron Gall. Gotta look focused here as he's trying to dial in down this final stretch. There he jumps back into place, looking more focused now.
Camino has shorter strides, a little bit quicker tempo. Gall is kind of an overstrider. Usually, and this is usually, the guys that can get that tempo going with the turnover, like Camino has, usually win these type of races. And here we go. We're into that straight.
Just over 15 minutes, and here's the final straight. About 400 meters to go, and Camino looks to be picking it up a little bit. Gall not giving it up, though. He's still right on his tail. And boy, these two barely have moved an inch throughout the entire race, but here comes Camino. Looks to be stretching his lead. Both athletes giving it everything they have, about 200 meters to go.
Time to beat today is 15:52 flat.
And it might be just over. Nico Camino extending his lead. Looks like Gall just might not have enough in the tank to catch him. Camino, impressive lead running from him all race long. The junior representing the Nook from Illinois. Approaching 16 minutes here on the clock. And the finish line coming into frame here. And he comes across in 16:04. Nico Camino is going to win open section number 3. So just 2 seconds separate the two. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised on that Gall waited towards that final stretch. Maybe he was very confident in his kick, but as you mentioned with the downhill, we've seen a lot of pushes towards that lead, but it just didn't look like Gall decisively made the decision to go try to take a lead at any point.
Yeah, and maybe he just didn't have, he felt maybe it was too early to move then, and maybe he could pick off Camino in the home stretch. It didn't happen, but I think Gall should be quite pleased with his performance. He hung in there, he hung in there, he hung in there. Couldn't maybe get it done, but still notable performance. Now we got to kind of watch our team standings as all these runners come through. A good job by Sean Jensen of PNXC Plainfield North. He picked off 14 runners in the last mile and finished 15th. Cougar Clark from Eagles, listen to this one, Ben. He moved up 45 spots in the last mile plus and is finished in 20th place. And, you know, when you think about it, 45 spots can make a huge difference in a team scenario, and that's why you always got to be careful on these team things, because guys just they can pull rabbits out of their hats and just get going, and one guy doing that can change the whole complexity of a team race.
Yeah, that's with a name like Cougar too. That's just what an epic finish. Cougar Clark, 45. He's a senior from Eagles, Michigan, and like you said, team-wise, that could be detrimental for some and a game-making race for others.
Now, Motrin looks good right now. They've got all 5 of their guys in. Boston Byer in 11th, Philip Canopy in 13th, Maxwell Carter in 14th. So they got 3 of the top 14. And then you have to go down a little bit to Keaston Byer in 35th. And these are not adjusted scores. And then Noah Harris in 63rd. So Motrin's sitting pretty here with 192 finishers in. They've got this 36-point bulge over the Nook. And Lemrack, which is Carmel, spelled backwards, the team from Indiana, in a good battle with PNXC. But Motrin going to be comfortable here.
We have 10 minutes to the start of the next race. 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Kendra Decker, you need to come to the timing building immediately. If your name is Kendra A. Decker, please come to the timing building and see the personnel there.
Four minutes. No more runouts at 3 minutes. No more runouts at 3 minutes.